Alright everyone, so I have some good news, which is a really nice change of pace over the last week or so given how things have been going with the game. And I actually woke up today pretty surprised to see the announcement that we are going to be getting another ×2 event coming up here starting on Friday. So here is the official announcement from the Diamond. Guys, this Friday we'll launch ×2 event to summon legendary champions from Sacred Shards. You can share this information with your subscribers. So this is pretty cool given how the last ×2 event that we got was actually not that long ago. I think it was just a couple weeks ago now. I know we went on a very long dry streak since the last ×2 event, which was Ancient Shards, and I also noticed that they did not backtrack. Like, they could have actually gone back to Void Shards. You know, Plarium with their ×2 events, they definitely do not go in order. Like, they won't go Ancient Shards, Sacred Shards, Void Shards, Ancient Shards, Sacred Shards, Void Shards. Sometimes they'll switch it up a bit. Like, they'll do, you know, Void Shards, Ancient Shards, and then back to Void Shards, or so on and so forth, right? But this time, it looks like they actually decided to do it in order because we had a ×2 Void event, then that really long dry streak, ×2 Ancients, and now we are back to ×2 Sacreds, not too long after the last one. I think we just had one ×10 event since the last double rates for Ancients. So pretty cool. If you guys have Sacred Shards saved up, this is definitely going to be the time in order to use them. Just make sure that you wait not just for the actual portal animation, but double check the actual rates and make sure that your chances of getting a legendary are doubled and are now 12% instead of the 6% that we currently have right now. So keep in mind as well, the cool thing about these sacred events is there's actually a list of excluded champions, and a lot of people don't really want to get these champions, of course, because they were already given to us some other way in the game. So the champion pool for Sacred Shards is actually a little bit lower than for Ancient Shards, which is good news if you are looking for particular types of champions. Now, speaking of particular types of champions, what I wanted to do is kind of go through all of the factions and really point out some of the epics that you really want to be on the hunt for. I think it's something like 1 to 3 epics that I have per faction that you really want to be on the lookout for. I think it adds up to 20 epics overall. This is not a list of all the good epics in the game by any means. These are just some of the ones that I noticed that you really do want to be on the lookout for. And I decided to go with epic champions for this video because even though the rates for legendaries are doubled, it's still only going to be a 12% chance to get a legendary champion from a Sacred Shard. So most of the champions that you pull from are going to be epics, and there are still a lot of really good epics actually out there. So let's go ahead and go over some of these epic champions you want to be on the lookout for. And let's start off here with somebody who I wasn't actually going to even be able to include in a video like this until recently because he was not dropping from Shards. But I have now gotten confirmation from both Plarium and also from a bunch of people playing the game that they have pulled this guy since recently. For a long time, though, he wasn't dropping. I heard no word about this guy showing up in Shards. And I had a lot of people that were telling me, hey, I summoned hundreds of Ancient Shards, dozens of Sacred Shards, and I've never seen him. But now lately, since the last ×10 event, I believe it seems like they flicked the switch back on or something. I don't know exactly what they did, but I've now been getting reports that he is dropping from Shards. So, a fantastic champion. One of the best epics out there. He's got decreased speed on his skill 1, decreased defense and attack on his skill 2, and a useful passive here that gives accuracy if you have a debuff resistance. So Stag Knight is phenomenal. Definitely be on the lookout for him. Now let's move on to High Elves. High Elves here, there's a couple champions that stand out. Of course, Tayrell is just one of the most versatile, most used champions. He's got that decreased defense, he's got that decreased attack, defense-based, very tanky. Royal Guard, of course, is another phenomenal champion in the High Elves you want to be on the lookout for, especially with this enemy max HP skill that he has right there. Now let's move on to Sacred Order here. So in Sacred Order, you have Juliana. Juliana is a great clan boss champion. She is squishy, of course, because she is an attack-based champion, but you have that actual poison on one of her skills, and you also have the HP burn. Just remember, with HP burn, you don't need to have champions that have multiple HP burn effects because you're only actually going to end up getting the benefit from one of them. She also has this increases turn meter fill with a critical hit, so if you build her to do a decent amount of damage and have a high crit chance, you'll be able to get a little bit of additional turn meter on her as well. So let's see, I think Aothar here is also pretty decent. He's got the steel buff. He's got, he's got the massive amounts of poison on his second ability right here, so also going to be good for the clan boss, and block cooldown skills. Once again, though, attack-based champion, so you have to be mindful when you are gearing him that, you know, with the default attack type of gear, he is probably going to be a bit squishy, so you might need to compensate for that somehow. Alright, now let's move on to the Barbarians. So in the Barbarians, one of the best champions, in my opinion, is actually one of the champions that we actually get for free, High Khatun, and you actually cannot pull her from Sacred Shards, which is kind of a good thing, because if you already have her from the daily login rewards, you probably don't want another copy of her. But, you know, if anything, a little bit of a reminder that she is a very good champion. She has that speed orb, she has the speed buff, she's got the turn meter fill, decreased speed on her skill 1. She's just a very well-built, solid champion, especially considering she has that all battle speed aura, which is very useful in all applications of the game. So let's move on to Ogryn Tribes. Now the big champion that stands out here is Skull Crusher. He is the only area of effect type counterattack epic champion, and it's technically not a full AoE because it doesn't actually place it on himself, but it's pretty darn close. So you get the counterattack on all allies except himself, the ally protect, the unkillable. That alone just makes him really good. You know, considering he is the only epic champion that has anything besides just a single target counterattack, that is awesome. That's really the thing about him that makes him really good. So he's the one that stands out in Ogryn Tribes. Now going to Lizardmen, you've got the two J's here, Jarang and Jareg. Let's talk about Jareg first, because he is the HP-based champion, so he's going to be a lot more tanky, right? He's got the decreased attack on his skill 1 right there, ally protection, and increased defense on all allies, which is great. So he's got the decreased attack on his skill 1 with no cooldown, and then he's got the buff, increased defense on all allies, which is really nice. Plus ally protection, he is tanky with he's an HP based champion, and also places a continuous heal buff on an ally when they lose 20% of their HP in a hit. So he's got a bit of utility, survivability there, as well as that 33% ally HP in all battles. So very good champion. Now Jarang is the attack based one. Right next to him, of course, I always mix these two guys up. He's also pretty decent, but he's attack-based, so he's going to be a bit more squishy. He's got that stun, but he has this ability right here, which I really like, because it's not just attacks 3 times at random, but it's also got that chance of placing both that strong version of decreased attack and decreased defense. You can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown. Plus, he's got that speed aura in dungeons. It's a bit higher than High Khatun, but it is limited to only dungeons instead of all areas of the game. So that's the highlights there for Lizardmen. Now, in Skinwalkers, I think I would say probably Steel Skull is going to be the highlight here. He's a very, very good defense-based support champion. The big thing about him, he's got this removes all debuffs from a target ally, then heals them by 40%, actually 50% with skill books, so just a very solid flat heal right there. He's got this strong version of increased defense on all allies, and another AoE heal right there by up to 30% of their max HP, and he's also got this skill 1 here without the cooldown that can place that poison as well, so very, very good for the clan boss. So that's the highlight there in Skinwalkers. Now moving on to Orcs. Orcs, I would say Zargala is just a fantastic DPS champion. She is attack-based, but if you take a look at her skill, she's got the weaken here on her skill 1. Crack Armor, which is her 3rd skill here, which attacks all enemies 3 times, and is also going to have the capability of placing that strong version of decreased defense on all enemies as well. Can get that down to a 4-turn cooldown. And then, of course, this ability is going to instantly activate again if somebody is killed by Crack Armor, which is her 3rd skill. And this is just going to attack 1 enemy. So very good when you kind of add the synergy of this ability right here, how powerful her Crack Armor is, the weaken on her skill 1, you're going to see an insane amount of damage from her. So now moving on to the Demonspawn. So Demonspawn here, we've got, you know, Allure was actually, I think, highlighted in one of the recent ×10 events. Don't know exactly how good she is for, I think it was the Dragon Killers event or something like that, but she's still a solid champion overall. She's got attacks 3 times at random with a turn meter decrease on her skill 1. She does have this AoE here, attacks 2 times with the weak version of decreased defense, and also a sleep on targets that do have the decreased defense. So interesting that it's the weak version of decreased defense there, but I guess she's got a lot of other stuff going on for her, so it makes sense. And then, of course, attacks one enemy has a 30% chance of inflicting a crit, which has the ignores defense component as well, which means you're going to see this skill actually hit for a pretty hard number. Attack-based champion, so you do have to be mindful of that. But now let's move on to Undead Horde. And in Undead Horde, we just have so many amazing champions. Like, this is a great category. Undead Horde is really good. I know Knight Revenant is also really good. You know, Gorgrab, of course, he is very well known. They had a special event for him a long time ago to get a raid up on him, but he's got this speed aura in the arena, and he's just very well known for his survivability and heal. You know, he's got that AoE revive with the 25% heal, which you can actually get up to 40%. This can be incredibly annoying in the arena. And then you've also got his turn meter fill and increased attack by 50% on all allies. So 23% in the arena as well for speed. That's why you'll see him in the arena so much. But speaking of another arena-based champion, you've got Seeker here. I love this champion. I used him for so long, especially with Tag Team Arena now. There is a reason to start using this guy again if you've kind of changed to a different champion. But even though he's only got 2 skills here, he's got his skill 1 and his Tailwind. Like, this, when it goes off, it's only a 3-turn cooldown, but it also grants an extra turn. So you got a 30% turn meter fill, a 50% attack buff. This skill is constantly going up, so you are always going to have this buff active. You're always going to be getting a ton of turn meter from this, and it's also going to allow him to hit a lot with his Devour ability and actually inflict a lot of damage. That on top of the fact that he'll place that 60% increased defense if he actually does get hit with a crit, which is really, really nice. So he's got this arena defense aura by 30%. Probably not the most used arena aura, but this guy, he is defense based, so he's going to be very tanky, and you can build him to be an incredibly strong champion. So alright, moving on to Dark Elves. Dark Elves has some like interesting champions. I would say a lot of these champions are kind of like strong, but not the absolute strongest, you know, like middle of the road-ish. Crimson Helm is kind of a champion that not too many people really talk about a whole lot. Decreased attack on the skill 1. You've got the block damage, and you've also got the Revive on Death and increased defense on all allies for 2 turns. This is a very good skill right here. Like, really good. This is a top tier skill. You've got the strong increased defense, the Revive on Death, you can get it down to a 4-turn cooldown, and the decreased attack on the actual skill 1 here. She is defense based as well, so she is going to be built to be pretty tanky, so pretty solid right there. And we move into the Knight Revenant, and Knight Revenant is just one of those categories like Undead Horde where there is an insane amount of good champions. Miscreated Monster, considered to be one of the, if not best, epics in the game. This guy is legendary quality. Like, when you actually compare Miscreated Monster to all the legendaries in the game, he's like above average even compared to legendaries. That's how good he is. This is like the dream pull if you get him as an epic. He is super good. He's HP based, so he's incredibly tanky, but he's got so much utility and damage in his actual skill kit. He's got a bunch of stuns that decrease defense. He's got this AoE with the stun, ally protection, he's got a heal. I mean, this guy's literally just got everything. He is so good, and he's going to absolutely crush it in certain areas of the game like Spider. So, one of the best. You have Sinesha, of course, a fantastic AoE champion. You know, she's got the AoE on her skill 1 here without the cooldown. Puts target skills on cooldown, heals the target with the lowest HP, and, of course, the Immortality ability, which is going to equalize the HP of everyone on your team and bring up their HP to the ally with the highest HP. So she's got not only that AoE for damage, but a good amount of survivability and support as well. And of course you have Sepulchre Sentinel, who is a slightly newer addition to the game, and she's just got a very solid skill kit. The strong version of decreased attack, increased defense, block debuffs on all allies. She's got this passive here which can actually completely block all damage and all allied defense in all battles by 25% as well. So just like for a defense-based champion, she is super good. Again, Knight's Revenant is just an insanely strong category in the game. And I actually missed one here. We still have Dwarves, so let's go to Dwarves here. And Dwarves, we have a few decent champions, of course not too many because it is considered one of the new factions, even though it's been a while now since we've had it released. But Rearguard Sergeant is pretty darn good. She's got that strong version of decreased defense for 2 turns on her skill 1, decreased attack here on an AoE on her skill 2, and also an ally protection and a continuous heal buff on her skill 3. So very decent skill kit for a defense-based dwarf champion. So I think that was at least 20 or 21 champions. I went through it just as an overview so you guys know what to really look forward to when you summon your sacred shards. So I wish you guys all good luck. Hopefully you have at least a couple of shards saved up. I know I don't have too many, but I'll probably pop them when the ×2 event actually starts off and see what I get. And yeah, that's going to be it for the video. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like. It means more than you can imagine. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care, everyone. And this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.